Welcome to episode 204 of the Daniel Yoris podcast. How to work out when you don't have time. Let's go. If you ask anybody if they are busy, chances are they're going to say that yes, they are, because everyone's just got a lot of things going on, and it's sometimes real, sometimes perceived busyness, and in some ways we probably unconsciously view it as some sort of badge of honor that you don't want to say to people like, nah, I just got tons of free time. Actually, I ain't got shit going on. I'm good. I'm good for whatever you got to do. So everyone's busy. Now, I would include myself in this, but I try to not pretend that I'm busy. But over the last couple of weeks or months, there's been unusual things going on, and not unusual as in strange, just like these are not normal things. Moving, getting married, which was amazing and wonderful and great, but these all changed the schedule and the things that were happening. Right now, we're kind of back into the groove of regular life. All is good. All went super well, super happy. Couldn't be happier about how anything went, but it had gotten me thinking about a lot about, people don't have a lot of time, and people, one of the main barriers to exercise is time, or the absence of time. And so anyways, figured to record this podcast and give some tips on how I navigate it myself and how I help my clients navigate it, just to deal with the things of time. Now, there's always the classic thought where people say everyone's got the same 24 hours in a day, which I think we all know is not exactly true. I mean, we use two extreme examples. The single mother with 3 kids who works 3 jobs clearly doesn't have as much free time as the 17-year-old who is in high school and has nothing to do. So while that's a little bit of a silly example, it kind of paints a picture that sure, we all technically have the same 24 hours in a day, but we all have different responsibilities and roles and things pulling at our time. Now, again, everyone identifies as busy, but the tips in this episode are going to be the most applicable, I think, to people who have variable schedules. So parents, entrepreneur type people who work a lot, but it's not like your standard quote unquote 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever hours you work. And it's not that it's not applicable to those people. It's just that when you have a more regimented or consistent schedule of things pulling at your time, it's quote unquote easier to navigate around that because you can more easily predict how your time is going to be allotted because your schedule is the same all the time or close to the same. Someone who is in more of an entrepreneurial role where you're kind of working all the time, you're always working and always not working. Like in theory, you could be free at any time, but you also have to be doing stuff all the time. Or a parent where there are children who are pulling at you and need various things at various times throughout the day and not always on a nice schedule and probably always at the worst possible time. These people have there's just more challenges because there are more variables and it's harder to predict. That's really the crux of it here. So it's going to be more applicable to that kind of population here. But of course, there's going to be tons of actionable pieces for the people who have a more consistent schedule yet are still busy. So there are 2 kind of big buckets to this that I'm going to go through. The first is about time management. And then the second half or the second bit will be more about like the practical workout things, where is like this, like do these things in the gym to actually save time in the gym. And that'll be the bulk of it, because time management is a very general topic, but it's important nonetheless. The first thing that I can say about time management when it comes to your workouts is that I have found for the vast majority of people that I have worked out with or I've trained, that getting your workouts done in the morning is the easiest way to ensure that you get it in every day, or at least on a regular basis. And this one is actually especially true for people who don't have a variable schedule. If you work your 9 to 5 job, chances are, your boss, your manager, your clients, your whatever, they're not blowing up your phone at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. It's just unlikely to happen. But it's extremely likely to happen that, work emergencies, and I use heavy air quotes on that one, work emergencies come up later in the day and you were scheduled to get to the gym. You wanted to leave the office or leave your desk if you work at home at 5 p.m. right on the dot to be in the gym by 5:15, 5:30. But, your manager calls you at 4:55 or that client needs that file immediately and they just message you at 4:30, and you don't get it done. Things come up later in the day, then you've got dinner, then you've got other things you want to do. You want to spend time with your family or whatever. So working out in the morning, for the most part, solves that problem. Yes, you probably have to wake up a little bit earlier. Yes, that also probably means going to bed a little bit earlier. No, that maybe is not the thing that you love to do if you are not a self-proclaimed morning person. You can become those things, but the alternative is you don't work out and you don't get it in. So at least try it and see how it goes, because you've probably been trying to get your workouts in after work or squeeze them in on the weekends or wherever you can. And if it's not working, you can keep trying it, but something else has to change. So give it a go. I know, again, it sounds so obvious, but it's just not a lot of thing that people want to admit, that working out in the morning is probably the best time for them to get it in. The second thing here, I feel like I preface this or say this a lot in all the podcasts, that hey, what I'm about to say is not it's not revolutionary. This is not some crazy thing that I discovered and if you didn't hear it from me, you've never heard it before. It's very rarely in fitness and health is it going to be like that. And I wish it was, because I would make a lot more money. But here's the second thing. Use your actual calendar and schedule in your workouts. If you put it in your calendar, you're way more likely to get it done, even if it's after work or before work or at lunchtime. Because you're planning your day as you're going through, and you know that at 12:30, at 5:30, at 6 a.m., that you've got to get to the gym. And so you're going to plan your day better around that, rather than trying to squeeze it in. If you say, okay, I've got some time in the afternoon, I want to get in the gym there, but if I don't, then I can push it to the after work, or if I need to, I can even push it after dinner. You can try that, and sometimes it works, but oftentimes it doesn't, because you always have this it's like giving yourself an out. You give yourself the option to push it off for later. And typically you end up taking that option and you push it off for later, but then later never comes. When you at least schedule it into your calendar, you put a time block of an hour, hour and a half, including, getting to and from the gym and that stuff, you're way more likely to actually stick to it and be able to plan your day around it. Another aspect of this is being protective of your time. If someone asks you to have a phone call or do something, unless it's actually urgent, if you scheduled that time for yourself, then to go to the gym and do things that you need to do, then protect that time. Ask them if they can do a different time. There's no harm in that. But just be very aware of what things are actually urgent, what things are actually emergencies, what things actually require you to have this phone call at this exact time when you're scheduled to go to the gym. And you'll be able to just better protect your own time there and make it so you actually get to the gym. Third thing here, again, pretty obvious, but not always. So pick a gym that is very close to your house or your work or whatever other place that you frequently find yourself. Now, there are two sides to this, because I actually do think that there's good value in possibly spending extra money and or driving further to get to a nicer gym. If the closest gym to your house is a complete shit gym with it's dirty, the vibe there is kind of sucks, the equipment's always broken, the people are rude, you're way less likely in that environment to be excited about going to the gym, because you don't like the environment and the feeling there. So there's a balancing act here. But if that's the gym that's closest to your house, well, are you more likely to go to the gym that's 5 minutes away or the gym that's 25 minutes away? And the answer is the closer one, because it's just pulling at your time less. But there's a balancing act here, right? So maybe the gym closest to your house isn't complete shit, and that's fine, and that's probably the better solution. If the gym closest to your house is complete garbage and not a place you'd ever want to go, then you're going to have to make some time sacrifice and go to the next closest gym to your house. But filter it out that way. Unless you are like a very high level powerlifter or bodybuilder or need some very specific equipment or something like that, all the gyms are fine. All of the equipment is fine. 100 pounds in one gym is still 100 pounds in another gym. Barbells are barbells, dumbbells are dumbbells. They might have different machines and whatnot, but for the most part, it's fine and it doesn't matter. So to filter it through, pick the one that's closest to your house or closest to your work, where either or, just make it easy to get to. And then second to that, pick like a nice gym that you don't actually mind going to. Last thing on the time management side, and I'm going to actually rebut this a little bit later on, but it's having a program to follow. And I know that I bang on about this all the time, but it's because it's extremely true and extremely helpful. If you have a program to follow, when you get into the gym, you spend less energy, mental energy, thinking about what you're going to do today in the gym. You just pull up your program on your phone, like, okay, I've got upper body today, I do pull-ups, I'm going to do bench press, I'm going to do, this, that, and the other thing. Done. You can get in there, you can execute. There's no wasted energy thinking about it. There's less wasted time in wandering around the gym and like trying to find, is that machine open? Should I do this? Does this exercise make sense paired after this one? How many reps should I do of this? How many sets should I do of this? How much weight did I do last week again? I can't remember. Let me try this one. That was way too light. You end up wasting a ton of time in the gym just because you're not tracking what you're doing and you have no program to follow. Not to mention the fact that your workout is going to just be less good overall and you're just going to get less results. But that's a different conversation. Purely speaking about time efficiency, you are going to be exponentially more time efficient in the gym if you just have a program to follow, and it'll just be a lot easier on the mental side of things. Again, removing barriers to you getting to the gym. It sounds like a small thing, but it sounds like a small thing to say that not knowing what to do in the gym would lead you to skipping your workout. But it's not just that in isolation. None of these things exist in isolation. If you have to remember what weights you did, if you have to think of a workout to do, if you have to plan the time to get to the gym, if you have to block off time on your calendar to make sure that no one's calling you, if you have to deal with a shitty gym or a shitty gym staff or a bad parking situation, if you have to deal with the fact that you're tired from work and didn't time your meals properly because you didn't know what time you're going to work out, all of these little things, all of them added up, that's what leads you to like, fuck it. I won't work out today. I'll do it tomorrow. And of course we know that, that's not going to happen because same shit's going to happen tomorrow. So having a program to follow is massively helpful. But generally, as a blanket to kind of wrap up this section, is get really good at time management. Working out is something that, if you're listening to this, obviously it's important to you. And of course, in general, it's important to your life and your health and everything you do overall. So it should be something that's important to you, and it should take some priority. Not the number one priority of your entire life, but it should take some priority over a lot of other things that you do. So when you think about how you manage your time in your entire life, your family life, your work life, and your social life, and all the other things, your workout life has to have its place in there, and it should be an important one in there. So you've planned time, and now you've actually made it to the gym. And now here are kind of the practical tips of things you can do in the gym. They're not really in a specific order, but they're more or less kind of flow into one another. So the first and most important thing here is to know that short workouts are okay. There is no hard and fast rule that your workout has to be 45 minutes long or an hour long or an hour and a half long. That doesn't matter. Sometimes a longer workout is better, and in a perfect world, you would probably put in an hour to an hour and 15 minutes in the gym every time you went. But the world is not perfect, and so you can get away with shorter workouts. that you actually get done, because a 30-minute workout is certainly better than a 0-minute workout. And if you think that you can only get a workout in if it's an hour and a half long, but you never have an hour and a half to go work out, then you're just never going to get it done. So 30-minute workouts, 45-minute workouts, 20-minute workouts, it's all okay. And in fact, like my most successful clients, this will sound obvious when I say it, but like my most successful clients are the clients who train the most often. And that doesn't always mean that they're hitting a PR in the gym every day, that they're training the most, as in most time overall, an hour and a half workouts. And it doesn't mean that every training session is their best session, but it just means that they're checking in, even if it's just a walk, that they're checking the box every day. They get into the gym every single day, or they go out for a walk. They do some form of structured, intentional exercise every single day, or almost every single day, and these people are more successful. So if you can wrap your head around the fact that a 20 or 30-minute workout is still a win, and is still good, and is still going to help you make progress when you zoom out and look at the whole like big picture of things, which is true, then you're more likely to be able to get those in, and you'll be okay with doing it and accepting that, like, hey, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a 30-minute workout and it's going to be great. I'm still on track. I'm still on track to hit my goals. I'm still on track to do all this stuff. And that's what's keeping me in the gym, keeping me afloat here. So short workouts are okay. Second tip here, use supersets, and especially so with the same equipment. So a superset, just in case, is like when you do exercise 1 and then you immediately do exercise 2, and that is a single set, a superset, if you will. Now, the supersets don't always have to be immediately following each other. There can be like a short amount of rest between them. They don't always have to be opposite muscle groups. It doesn't always have to be an upper body and then a lower body. Sometimes it can be a lower body and a lower body, an upper body and upper body. Sometimes it can be the same muscle group. It can be a chest exercise and a chest exercise. How you split them up, as far as like which exercise you pair, is more of a programming question, and depends on like what you are trying to achieve from a fitness perspective in the workout. So I'm not going to talk about that right now. But as far as time saving, you want to use the same equipment for both exercises, or one exercise that like uses a piece of equipment and one exercise that uses just a floor space that you don't need anything for. Reason being is that's just efficient. You don't want to be doing 2 exercises that are on opposite sides of the gym. If the gym is busy at the time that you go, it's hard to wrangle up different pieces of equipment. You don't want to be that annoying person that's just hogging a bunch of equipment, all of that kind of stuff. So if you can pair up squats and push-ups, where you might use a barbell for your squats, or you might use dumbbells or a kettlebell or whatever piece of equipment, and you just get on the floor and do some push-ups right after, that's a great pairing. If you want to do pull-ups and then you want to do split squats with just your body weight. And I'll even caveat myself there, is if you can use dumbbells, you can like bring dumbbells around the gym. You really don't want to pair up like 2 exercises that use 2 different machines, or 2 different barbells, but like you can bring dumbbells around the gym to a degree. So things like that. Mixing a core exercise in with anything else, because typically like a core abs exercise will use just floor space, so you can sit on the floor and do your shoulder press, abs something. RDLs, abs, squats, abs, bench press, abs, pull-ups, abs. You can mix that in with anything. Now, what you're doing here is this: you're increasing like the density of your workout, which is something I'll come back to in a little bit. But you're increasing the density of your exercise. So even if you use something a little bit more advanced or harder exercises, just to paint the picture, squats paired with pull-ups. Now, you do need the pull-up bar, but typically on the squat rack, oftentimes there is like the pull-up handle attachment. So you're still using like the same piece of equipment, right? But those are 2 pretty big exercises that are pretty taxing. However, your squats don't really impact your pull-ups that much. It's not 0, and you may be a little bit more out of breath and whatnot, but it doesn't impact it 0. Now, you might not, in this case, be able to go like immediately back to back, but say you hit a set of squats and you're going to rest for like 3 or 4 minutes after your set of squats before you're ready to do the next one. You can probably get away with resting for like a minute to a minute and a half, and then do your pull-ups, and then rest for another minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then you're back to your squats. So you're getting in another set of a different muscle group while you're resting that is not impacting or has very little impact on your actual main exercise or the other exercise that you're focusing on. And the same is true. Like your squats are not really going to impact your pull-ups are not really going to impact your squats, and it goes both ways. So that's a really good example. The same would be true with like RDLs and push-ups. Your push-ups are not impacting your ability to do RDLs or deadlifts of some sort. Hamstring curls and deadlifts, glute ham raises and shoulder presses, whatever, something like that. So think about those as far, like that's where the opposing muscle groups comes into play a lot more, because it doesn't impact it. When you're doing something where it's like the same muscle groups, if you wanted to do squats and split squats right away, again, I didn't want to get into this too much, but you're purposely trying to impact the second exercise with the first exercise or vice versa by doing that. But again, more of a programming consideration than like a time saving consideration. But using the same equipment or one equipment and one not equipment is going to be huge, because you're just getting more work in the same amount of time without really affecting the quality of your workout. Third tip here, and it's kind of following the same line that I was just speaking about, is about when you think about your workout, if it has to be shorter and it has to be a little bit more time efficient, you probably need to accept that you have to lower the intensity per set, but also increase the volume or the density of the exercise. So if you're doing a short workout, you might not be necessarily hitting failure. You may be doing more reps at obviously a lighter weight, and maybe like a lower RPE. RPE is rate of perceived exertion. So on a 10 scale, 10 being the highest, if your RPE is 10, that's like your absolute max effort set. And sometimes you wanna rev the engine and get it there, but mostly you should be working in like a 8 to 9 RPE. But in this case, maybe it's okay to be at like a 7. You're at a 7 or a 6. So you get your 10, 12 reps in, maybe even 15 reps in, and then you rest. You're still a little bit out of breath, but then you can push it for the next one. It takes generally less time to recover and get ready for the next set when you're doing more volume than it does less volume. And this is really just a reflection of the intensity. If you do a triple, if you do 3 reps of a back squat that's like really heavy, it's going to take you longer to be able to do another triple as far as rest time than it would be if you do a set of 10 back squats, not to failure, and then you go ahead and do another set of 10 back squats. That's a general rule of thumb, and obviously there's a lot of caveats and what-ifs in there. But in general, you can get more volume in rather than more intensity. And that will help you, again, saving time. Knowing that you're not pushing your hardest in this workout will help you just get through it, so you can get through more stuff. Now, the complete opposite advice to that is that you can still push the intensity really high, but you have to do less exercises per workout. So let's just run with the squats example, and it's probably the example that I always run to when I'm thinking about these things, but it doesn't actually matter. Any exercise here works. You want to do squats in your workout, but you've only got 30 minutes, and you have a leg workout, but you have squats as like your main thing. Well, maybe your leg workout today is just back squats, and for 30 minutes, you're going to rip a 5x5, but it's going to take you the whole 30 minutes. And a 5x5 kind of almost does take that if you're really, really pushing it anyways, plus a little bit of a warm up at least and whatnot. So you can also do that. Now, what I was saying previous to this about lowering the intensity but increasing the volume is if you want to get through 6 exercises or 5 exercises, the way to fit that in is just to do it with less intensity, with less rest, and it's more of a volume / work capacity type of workout, which again is a little bit of a programming thing, but you change what you're aiming for given the time constraints that you have. Excuse me. The opposite, again, is true. If you want to really work on your strength and you want to put up some big numbers and work at a high RPE and a high intensity, well, then you just do less exercises per workout, and that's okay. Maybe your workout is just squats. Maybe it's just bench press, just deadlifts, and you do literally one exercise, maybe 2 exercises in the workout if you can figure out a way to superset something good in there. That's a solid workout. There's nothing wrong with that. You do pull-ups and shoulder press. Do that for 30 minutes, great. You can go heavy, you can go volume on that, and you can do it with both things, because reducing the number of exercises, even if you're still doing it like more of a volume style of a workout, is also going to be helpful, because you're wasting less time transitioning between spots in the gym, machines, equipment, and whatever. So you can still do it at like a lower intensity clip, but just with way more volume. Maybe you do 8 sets, maybe do 10 sets of those 2 exercises, and that would be fine. That would be a great workout. So you can kind of take these both ways, but I'm just trying to give you all the options to be able to think about it, right? So high intensity is okay, but you just have to be okay with and accept, and it's totally fine, by the way, to just do 1 exercise for your entire workout, maybe 2 exercises if you're in there. The alternative is, if you want to do more exercises, you've just got to drop the intensity because of the time constraints that are upon you. You have to be able to get through more stuff, which means you've got to move a little bit faster. On that note, when choosing exercises, you want to choose high value for time exercises. Now again, this is going to depend a little bit on what you're trying to train and where you're at in your training phases and what are your goals and all that kind of stuff. But in general, if you're trying to get a leg workout in and you've only got a short amount of time, your best bet is going to be filling that workout with things like squats, deadlifts / RDLs, lunges or split squats, and maybe that's it. Like if you can get all 3 of those in 30 minutes at like a decent intensity, like that's already really good. But what you don't want to fill the workout with in general is calf raises, hamstring curls, quad extensions, and abductor or adductor machine. Like that can be fine. That can be a fine workout. It's probably more of a chill workout of a deload something if you're working through injury. Like there's nothing wrong with that. There's a time and a place for everything. But in general, that's probably not what you're going for. And so you want to fill the workout with big bang for your buck exercises, which are the compound exercises, generally heavier weights because there's more muscles and bigger movements involved. And you're just going to get more out of it. The same thing, just to label it for upper body stuff, is you probably don't want to be filling your quick upper body workout with bicep curls, tricep extensions, and forearm, like wrist curls, unless you were trying to do an arms workout, which that would be fine. But if you're trying to do like a full upper body workout, you probably want to put some bench press in there, maybe some shoulder press, maybe some dips, some pull-ups, some sort of bent over row of any kind. That's probably what you want to fill the most of your workout with. Now, sure, your biceps and your triceps and your shoulders and all the small muscles, quote unquote, are getting their work in. But if you wanted to do like a more of an isolation workout on those things, then yeah, you could also do that. But you want to think about, what am I trying to achieve in this workout, and what is the most efficient way to do that? Again, if you're just trying to get an arm pump, then probably don't do bench press, because that's not going to achieve the goal of you getting a bicep pump. But if you're trying to get a chest workout in, well, doing bicep curls is not going to help you get a chest workout in 25 minutes. So you got to just think about, what is the goal of the workout, and how do I get there in the most efficient way possible without any extra fluff? Remember earlier when I talked about having a program, this is where I was going to devil's advocate the whole thing, because all the things that I'm talking about may require you to change the program that you are following, and that means you're not following the program. Now, you still have to have a base program. You still have to have a general idea of what you should be doing and what you plan to be doing and what you're going to be doing that day, so that you can adjust it. Because if you're just trying to adjust nothing, if you have no idea whether you need to get a chest workout in, whether you need to work on your hamstrings, whether you need to work on your arms, if you have no idea where you fall in your phases of training in your training program, you're not going to be able to adjust anything, and you're going to end up just doing something random. And by all means, I mean, doing something random is better than sitting on the couch doing nothing. But, we want to make some good return on your time and return on your effort here. So we want to actually do something focused, even though it's going to be shorter. So having a program, but understanding what the goals of that program are, what the goals of, like, what your own goals are, and what the parameters are, then you can understand, how do I adjust this based on this time constraint or XYZ constraint. Now, obviously, that can be a lot, and this is part of where having a coach, it comes in massive handy, because we spend a significant amount of time studying and learning these things and figuring out how to pair up workouts and what's the physiology of XYZ and how do we do this, and we've seen it and thought about it and done all of it many, many, many times. And so it's a lot easier for me to throw together something or adjust something on the fly that is still going to be in line with your goals, rather than it is for you typically to be able to look at something, adjust it, and do something that makes sense. And that's not because I'm better than you at that. It's just because this is my job and it's not your job. If you asked me to adjust something in your job, I would have no fucking idea how to do it, because I don't know what it is that you do, but this is my job and this is what I do. So you need to have the workout. You need to have a workout plan. We need to know why you're doing things and how to get the intended goal. And this is how you're able to adjust things on the fly, where you're changing, quote unquote, changing the workout program, but also not actually changing anything either. So that's the thing. You got to be flexible with the workouts. And this is something that I say to like some other trainers and younger people and people that are thinking about working out and stuff like that, about training, is you need to understand. I don't know if this will really help you, because again, you're not a trainer, but like, you need to understand and think about movements and biomechanics and physiology, not just a Rolodex of exercises in your head, because inevitably something is going to come in that's going to break that down. I can't just think, oh, biceps means, these 7 exercises, and that's how I train biceps. Well, what if the person has a wrist injury? What if this? What if they have time constraint? What if paired with these things? You can't think about it like that. You've got to think about a little bit more from like a principles-based approach of like, what are the movements that we're trying to achieve? What are the muscles that we're trying to work? What are the physiological impact or what is the physiological impact that we're trying to have? And then from there, you can just select stimulus as in exercises to achieve those things. But anyways, not to get too deep in that. But so yeah, follow a program, but understand how the program works. A couple other quick things, and I'll start to wrap this up, is it's very okay to ask people to work in at the gym. If there's a piece of equipment that you need, like, ask people to work in. Most of the time, people will say yes. You wipe it down, especially if it's a machine, because you just easily adjust the seat, flip the stack of the weight. Like, it's not that hard. It's difficult to ask someone to work in on a squat rack, because if you're different heights, if you're using different weights, it just becomes it's quite annoying for everyone involved. But on machines or even on a bench, like, most of the time that you're in the gym, you're actually not working out. You do your set, it takes you 30 to 45 seconds, and you rest for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So therefore, most of the time you're not working out. You're sitting on a machine, sitting on a bench, walking around, whatever. You can work in with people, and you can let people work in with you. So if you see something that you need and it's being used, but you're kind of on a tight timeline, like, please don't be afraid to just ask someone to work in. It's a very normal, very okay, very, very regular thing that should happen in gyms. Although in the past few years, and I think, well, there's a lot of reasons why I think, but I think people have just done this less, and it makes the gym culture kind of weird. But ask people to work in. It's totally cool. The next thing, the next kind of quick thing, or the last thing that I had here, the last kind of quick thing I had here is to use barbell or kettlebell or dumbbell or even bodyweight complexes or circuits. And this is a workout where you use a single piece of equipment at a single weight for the entirety of the workout. So you have one kettlebell, it's one weight, and you do some sort of like kettlebell flow type of thing where you do a swing and then a clean and then a press and then a lunge and a push press and then back to a swing and whatever, in a flow that kind of like makes sense, where the exercises flow into each other. But say you do that for 10 reps or whatever, you rest, and you kind of have like a 1-to-1 work ratio. So you're on for a minute, off for a minute. And this is kind of definitely more of like a circuit training workout. So it would be more of a work capacity, kind of a cardio workout, not really a strength training. You're not going for PRs or anything in this. You're just trying to get a lot of work in a short amount of time and work on some movements and some flow and some coordination and some athleticism, if you will. Kettlebell is great for that. You can do the same with a barbell. One with a barbell that I use often, I always have this in my back pocket on a quick one, is like let me just get it right because I can feel it better than I can think of it, is deadlift, bent over row, hang clean, overhead press, front squat, done. So it's those 5 exercises in a row, and it's like the same weight on the barbell. You never put the barbell down, so you do whatever. I think I do like 6 or 8 reps of each in a row, and then you put it down, and then however long it takes you, usually about like 90 seconds for that one specifically, and then 90 seconds of rest, so it's 1-to-1 work-rest ratio. But things like that, you can just Google or ask me, like a barbell complex, a kettlebell complex, a dumbbell complex, or even some type of like body weight circuit thing. This way, you get into the gym, you set up one thing, you set up your little station, your little spot, you don't have to move, and you can get in pretty efficiently. Now, again, from the whole programming aspect of this is more work capacity, a little bit more cardio, a little bit different of a focus than working on hypertrophy or strength. And it's not bad or good, it's just different, and it just is what it is, and you should be really working on all of these things over various phases of training anyways. So, trying to use and it still falls in line with like trying to use the least amount of equipment or one piece of equipment with the least amount of exercises to get something to get a workout in. So short exercises are okay, but all of that is really like, these are the best tips to work out quickly when you don't have time, and how to adjust your workouts in the gym. Again, I just want to reiterate that like, you should have a program, but you need to be flexible to change. And this is why I prefaced this whole episode with saying that like this episode is going to be a little bit more relevant for people who have changing or variable schedules. Because if your schedule is pretty consistent, then you just need to seriously dial in your time management and then get your workouts in. And your workout can be however long it is that you always have time for, but it should be the same. Someone who's got a very variable schedule, on some days they're going to have an hour and a half to go to the gym, and some days they're not. And that might change on a day-to-day basis, and you may or may not be able to predict that. And for most of these people, it's like, I do have a lot of free time through the day, but I don't have many, pockets of an hour and a half. I've got pockets of 30 minutes kind of scattered throughout the day, but rarely do I ever have like an hour and a half to go to the gym. So that's why it's going to be a little bit more variable or relevant. The gym tips are going to be a little bit more relevant for those people. But if you have a little bit more of a consistent schedule, like time management is your problem. That is not like the supersets and the whatever, all the stuff, technical things that matters, and that can definitely help you. But time management is really your issue. So the other thing that I want to highlight is that, and I did say this before, but getting in more frequent workouts is a better option. And if you can do it every single day, that's even better. It doesn't mean that every single workout is the hardest workout ever, because you can't push 110% every single day. That's just not going to happen. It's not a good idea to even try that. But it means you're doing something every day, and that can even be a walk, as long as it's scheduled in, as long as it's tracked, as long as it's intentional, and as long as it's meaningful and part of your whole program, that it makes sense. Like, you've got to get something in every single day, and that's going to help you stay in the game for longer. And the people who stay in the game the longest are the most likely to win. That's just how it goes. It's very true for fitness, and it's very true for, I think, a lot of other things. I don't want to say everything, but a lot of other things. So you don't always have to have the best workouts, but you do always have to work out. You don't have to train every day. You don't have to train hard every day, but you do have to move and exercise your body every day. So that's that. I'm going to cut this off here because this already went longer than I thought it was going to be. I tried to make it like you're tight on time for workouts, so let me make this podcast really, really fast as well. But listen to it on 1.5 speed, which I should have maybe mentioned that at the beginning. Too late now, but do that for next time. What else do I got to say? If you have questions with any of this stuff, obviously feel free to message me at Daniel Yoris on Instagram or on X or anywhere else. Find me on my website, send me an email. All things, I'm here to help and just help you get better and help you get fitter and help you improve the rest of your life through fitness, because I truly do that. So thank you very much for listening. I appreciate you every single time. Please leave a review for the podcast as well, as that goes a huge, super long way in helping the podcast grow and helping more people get more help. So thank you very much. Go outside. Be a good person. See you soon.